So there have been some updates in the Jeffrey Epstein story. A forensic pathologist who was hired by Epstein's brother says there were signs of homicide. And I find it weird that anybody is trying to act like he definitely killed himself. I mean, you have to be so naive to think that the head of Elite Pedophiles Incorporated killed himself. This is definitely a lot sketchier than the official story. Well, anyway, we now learn that there's a massive media cover-up as well, and the story was going to be broken 3 years ago, but it was, not allowed to break at the last moment. So here's Sagar of Hill TV doing a little segment on this. Take a look.
Well, Project Veritas released some footage yesterday of ABC News reporter Amy Robach lamenting on a hot mic that ABC News killed a story she had developed of alleged Jeffrey Epstein victim Virginia Roberts on tape years ago, leveling accusations not only against the now-dead financier, but implicating a member of the British royal family, Prince Andrew. She also had detailed reporting on connections between Epstein and former President Bill Clinton. Let's take a listen to the whole thing.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
Robach's horrifying story. It contains all the same ingredients of NBC News' alleged cover-up of Harvey Weinstein, detailed by the enterprising journalist Ronan Farrow. The British royal family began exerting immense pressure on ABC News, who was desperate at the time to score an interview with Will and Kate. In other words, ABC News bosses killed a story about a sexual predator to preserve their relationship with the powerful. A side note, back in August, NPR also reported on ABC News quashing that story. But the ABC thing is the type of behind-the-scenes revelations that we all know happens daily. It is rarely captured so vividly on the screen. ABC is of course denying the story in some language you may find very familiar. First, they released a hostage statement from Robach, who was allegedly caught in a moment of private frustration, and that she could not obtain sufficient corroborating evidence to meet editorial standards. She also says nobody at ABC ever told her to stop investigating Epstein. ABC released their own statements side by side, saying Robach's reporting did not meet their standards to air and that they never stopped investigating the story. This is, of course, complete BS. Robach lays it out in the video. Her bosses told her, quote, nobody knows who this guy is in relation to Epstein. You don't think that's basically in order to stand down? ABC's explanation is literally exactly the same as NBC's pathetic excuse for not airing its Harvey Weinstein reporting, that the reporting did not meet the standards for air. And let me tell you what is newsworthy alone. It's this photo. That is a photo of a member of the British royal family with his arms wrapped around a 17-year-old girl at the residence of a known sexual predator. Do you have any more questions? Every single one of us knows why ABC News did not run this story and why NBC News killed this story into Harvey Weinstein. They wanted to preserve their relationship with the powerful. If they ran it, how else would things like this happen? Former Bill Clinton staffer and ABC star George Stephanopoulos once had dinner with Prince Andrew at Jeffrey Epstein's New York mansion in 2010 to discuss, well, of course, the upcoming wedding of Kate Middleton and Prince William. This is 2 years after Epstein was given his sweetheart deal by Florida prosecutors, but he was still required to register as a sex offender. What is the chief anchor for ABC News, the host of CBS Evening News, Katie Couric, CBS's Charlie Rose, Woody Allen, and Chelsea Handler all doing there too? I think we all know the answer to that. And we're cozying up to power.
To quote the brilliant George Carlin, it's a big club and you ain't in it. And I don't know how much more evidence you need, man. Now, we all get it. Project Veritas is trash. But that's what mainstream media outlets are now using to say, we're not going to cover this because, Project Veritas is trash. But they didn't. That was just the video of an ABC News anchor talking about it. It's not. Like, there's no commentary from Project Veritas in that video, and everything they said there was just laid out clear as day, and there's no other, like, you can't say, that was taken out of context. There is no context in which what you just saw is okay. So, what we have here is powerful elites protecting powerful elites, and basically exerting power from the top down to kill a story which would have really highlighted an international pedophile ring. So, and it's interesting because I've spoken about this before on the show. When you read Noam Chomsky's Manufacturing Consent, you understand very quickly that the way it works is more in the hiring process. The way it works is mainstream media organizations only hire people who they know won't really rock the boat and will kind of reflect a worldview that's okay with elites. But in this instance, it actually even goes a step further. And like the smoke-filled back room idea becomes not crazy because you had reporters who did the work and were willing to expose the powerful. But so in other words, in the hiring process, the elites will think we weren't good enough in the hiring process because we found some people who actually want to expose wrongdoing by the powerful. And they killed the story. They killed the story. It went right up the chain, and the people at the top said, nope. And just gaslighting like crazy, by the way, when they say, oh, no, who even is this guy? Are you kidding me? Jeffrey Epstein knew where all the bodies were buried, dog. Maybe literally, but definitely metaphorically. He knew exactly which royal family members were total perverted creeps and pedophiles. He knew which Wall Street goons were perverted creeps and pedophiles. He knew which members of the government were perverted creeps and pedophiles. And when he's in a prison with top-notch security and cameras on him, and he tries to commit suicide like 2 weeks before, and then somehow he kills himself, and there was a glitch with the camera thing, and people who were in that prison came out and said, that's impossible to kill yourself in there. Something's up. Something's up. And instead of the media doing their job and digging into this and getting the story and being serious about it and objective about it, what do? They'll look at anybody who brings this up. Credit to Sagar and Crystal here for doing this segment. But they'll look at anybody who brings this up and they'll say what? Say with me now. Conspiracy theorists. You're conspiracy theorists. Why are you talking about this, bro? It's conspiracy theory. It's conspiracy. You want to be serious? You want to be taken seriously or not? And listen, man, I just need everybody to understand there is immense pressure in these social circles to follow the crowd. And by the way, no disrespect to Politicon at all, but this is why whenever I'm backstage at Politicon, I'm in a little corner and I'm only talking to people who I already know. Because you feel it. You feel the pressure. You feel it when you're around like establishment journalists and politicians, media figures. Like you could feel the groupthink in the air. And you know that once people get in that club, they'll do anything to stay in that club. And I don't want to be in that club. I don't want to have a nice casual conversation with some far-right maniac or some establishment goon because I'm going to be calling them out on the show a week later. So I don't want to know that Sean Hannity's a nice guy or whatever. And by the way, when I was standing backstage before one of my panels, he walked by, and there were 4 panelists there, including myself, and he's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And he seemed like a really nice guy. He was very, like, he's willing, like, jovial, and I was like, "Oh, God damn it. Sean, stop it. Tell me I'm an asshole or something." But see, that's the point. The point is it's human nature to want to get along, and once you view these people as individual human beings, it's harder to look at what they actually do and analyze it objectively. So I do my best to insulate myself and get away from it because I don't want to be part of the club. I never wanted to be part of the club. And so neither does Sagar, neither does Crystal. Anybody who's really telling you the truth does not want to be part of the club. And what you'll see is everybody who is part of the club, they're walking on eggshells, not covering the story, or if they do cover it, they'll say how, it's a conspiracy theory to say anything other than suicide happened. But listen, this is one of those things where the conspiracy theory is the more reasonable explanation. It just is. The conspiracy is the more reasonable explanation. He was probably murdered from some higher up who knew he was going to blow the lid off this whole thing. That's the more reasonable explanation, man. It is. So, I'll end the segment the same way I started the segment by telling everybody George Carlin's wonderful, wonderful, brilliant words. It's a big club and you ain't in it. So, just know that. And, I'll go wherever the evidence takes me, man. And the evidence as of this moment is, I don't know who was responsible for killing him, obviously. I just don't know. But I do know that there was almost certainly and is almost certainly like a secretive cabal of elites who are quite literally part of or okay with a giant pedophile ring. It's Pizzagate in real life, but without literally being connected to the pizza parlor, if that makes sense.